Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is wonderful today as we are now live on Facebook, and very shortly the radio show starts as well. Those of you who are already IBGR hosts know exactly how this works, and we're going to start trying the Facebook Live this week. So I'm just waiting, I'm just listening in just now, waiting for Bill to finish his adverts, and then we'll get the show on the way. There we go. It's just coming. So we'll go live very shortly, and then it's wonderful to now trial this out and see how we're going to get on with this. I even had to wash my face today. And here we go. Okay, good morning. You are listening to IBGR.network, the International Business Growth Radio Network, and I am your host, Jan Robberts, global influencer, co-founder of Key Leadership Institute and founder of JR Speakers Club. Yes, I am also a coach, trainer, speaker, values-based leadership specialist, personal profiling consultant, and personal development professional. For any more information about me, you can go to the IBGR.website and check my profile. There you will also find the links to follow and get in touch with me. Well, by the way, we would love to hear from you in real time during the show. If you are listening, or if you're listening live or to one of our recordings, you can always connect and interact with us on social media, on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter at IBGR.network. Now, this is episode 9 already. Wow, how time flies. And it's a I didn't have my alphabet soup this morning. It's a strategic, impactful connections in our people skill lanes, people for success. So you can go to our website, www.ibgr.network, and download the show notes for today. And before I go any further, there's a few wonderful things. We also have an amazing IBGR app. So now you can listen to us wherever you are, from the comfort of your mobile phone, your tablet, or your laptop. But before we go even any further, today we are not only live on the radio. Last week we actually did a call-in, and we're kind of working just now on the behind the scenes with Donna and Bill, who are amazing, by the way. They've developed all this. That it was their goal and their dream to share all this with the world. And we are 50 of us now are lucky to be part of this network. But we're also saying, well, let's go live on Facebook too. So here we are. I can't only welcome my listeners, but also my viewers today. But we're already so in your Facebook as well, what I would like to do is, if you have any comments or questions, put them in the comments box. And we have every 15 minutes, we've got about a 2.5 minute break. So I can then actually look through and scroll through the messages. And if there's any questions or something, I will address them. Or any comments that I think are worthwhile. I mean, all of it is worthwhile as well. But if there's any comments that I think are really good for this particular show, then I will mention you in dispatches. So, we're already over halfway of our third season, and for a variety of reasons, this is a most amazing season because, first of all, we're sharing tips, tools, and wisdom, and of course that last one is by my colleagues, surely not me. But we want you, the audience, to ask the questions, because what's going to happen is, we have about 50 show hosts now in 4 different zones around the world, and divided in 6 hours each. So that means 24/7 we're on the radio, and now we're going to be on Facebook more and more as well. Some people have already done Facebook Lives, and of course we also have a YouTube channel where you can find all of these as well. So I said I had a face made for radio. We needed to change that a little bit, so I even had to kind of wash my face today. Yeah, but you are all the wide range of subjects we have, from operations, customers, finance, people today, and tomorrow is going to be executives working on the business rather than in the business. Because we are now looking for your questions and your comments. Next season, you are deciding what our sessions will look like. It's going to challenge us even more, which I love, because I love being challenged and stretched. We all need to get out of our comfort zone more. But next season, you will decide what our subjects are going to be like. And when you have genuine questions or about things that you want to hear, in my case, in the people side, what do you want me to talk into? What would you like to hear as a new business owner, or as somebody who's already on the path, an entrepreneur? You've got an entrepreneurial idea. What would you like to hear? What would you like us to talk about? Let us know, and join us in our comments here, right on Facebook and on the radio at our website. So, or of course the app. Now, today I will talk about strategic, impactful connections. And if this is your first time listening, welcome. If you're a returner listening, welcome back. And if this is the first time you are viewing, which couldn't be a second time because this is my first time using IBGR Facebook Live, so welcome to our Facebook group as well. I can now honestly say, I always say it on radio, if there is anything on here, or from our fellow hosts who are 24/7 on the radio, if there is anything on here that speaks into you, and you think there's other people who could benefit from this, like and share it. You can do it with the radio show as well, because you can share the IBGR network page, but like and share it, because there is podcasts and everything on these kind of things. So like and share it, and spread the good news. Spread this to as many people as possible. Good leaders actually don't keep stuff for themselves. When they get something out of it, they talk to other people about it, and I know you are as well. So anyway, we are now in more, if I'm stand corrected, because every week it goes up, but we're now in in already 145 countries around the world. So it's absolutely amazing that people from 75% of the world's countries are now be able and listening in to our programs here. So highly commendable, and we should celebrate this every time, because it is due to the behind the scenes work, tirelessly behind the scenes working of Donna and Bill, and now all these hosts who are spreading the good news as well, that we are now reaching 145 countries already. Who would have believed that in such a short time? So let's get going. And what is strategic connecting? Now, strategic connecting equates itself to a business strategy of advancing a company or organization, and in this strategy you are finding out how the opposite party can be a stepping ladder to you. Now that's where the strategy gets in. So let's be real here. It means that you're going to waste time with, that you are not going to waste time with people who are on common ground. You think so? Well, in most cases, both parties benefit because each party has something that person wants in order to arrive at something. Next week in my networking program, I'm going to talk about networking. I will talk a lot more into the connections you can get, and how to do that more effectively. But normally there is common ground, and those individuals have something that people can utilize. So you reach out to connect for advancement. The tricky part is, though, the advancement of something good or something bad. So are those strategic connections led by good or by greed? So you really need to be careful. That's why it's got to be strategic connections, and there's got to be some ethics involved as well. If you want to survive as a business, ethics and values, as values-based leadership specialists, we talk into the values all the time, because values are the foundations of leadership, and values are the foundations of any business. If you let them go, don't expect your people or your clients or your partners to be ethical when you are not. So it is really a question that needs to be answered. Why you do this. You might well say, well, business is business, if it's done right. But when it comes to positive impact, I feel there has to be a different approach. I think that when you use impactful strategies to properly connect with others, you really have to evaluate their intent. Because what you really want is for this to be a win-win relationship, right? What can be better than it? Everybody actually talks, everybody wins when we start these joint ventures, these strategic partnerships and all those kind of things. What can be better that it's actually win-win-win? Because if we win together, and first of all, it's all about you, the listener, the public, the people who need this information. So if in a business, if if people we serve win, and we both win as well, I mean, it's a win all round, and that's what we should be looking for, because that's the most effective every single time. So, what is your intention? Is it making money, regardless who or what you damage in the process? Is it doing good? Even if it means to not make that connection could potentially make you a lot of money, knowing it does not feel right, what would you do? So if it could potentially make you a lot of money, but you know, I'm talking a little bit about intuition later on as well, but you know it just isn't right. Or would you actually have a business? A friend of ours, he had a brilliant saying, making money while doing good. Now that is absolutely amazing. So if you can make money while doing good, and of course that's very possible, many people do it, and you as an entrepreneur should really actually think about that. What is better than, you actually provide a service that people need and want, and you do good and you make money in the process. If you do enough of the things that are good for people, eventually people will pay you for it anyway. Maybe the question is here, what kind of impact do you want to have with your business? On people, environment, any future technical development. As the late Zig Ziglar says, and I like his quote, you can have everything in life you want if you just help enough other people to get what they want. Now that is as good for a joint venture and strategic connections as it is for serving your clients and indeed the people who are working for you and with you. So I hope that makes any sense. And today we will be talking into strategic connections, and we will diving into some of the strategic connections, steps on building strategic connections, tips on building strategic relationships, and essential tools for building strategic relationships. Now, with Facebook as well, of course, very shortly we're going to shut down for 2.5 minutes on the radio show, but I will certainly keep connecting with you and actually look on the Facebook. Just go and have a look through all the comments that are here, so we can I can answer any. But for about 2.5 minutes we shut down. So it is wonderful that you can actually join us on Facebook. You can join us on the radio show, and in the radio show as well, if you go to the ibgr.network, you just click the join us button. And if you've got any questions on our ibgr.network page, there is a pulsating question mark when you also can ask questions. But if you're on Facebook, you can do it right here. So we're just going away on the radio, and we'll be back in a few minutes. Stay with us. So yes, so on Facebook, we're not going to go away. I'm staying with you just now, and it's wonderful. I can tell you a little bit more about IBGR.radio. It's the International Business Growth Radio Network, and it started. This is the 3rd season now, so it started. Nearly 3 seasons ago, funnily enough, but there is so much here. There is so many things that you can actually learn, because the whole program has been divided in 6-hour sessions. So on Monday, I don't know exactly which order it is. On Monday, I think it's organization. Tuesday, it might be finance. Wednesday, it might be customers. Thursday, today, it's people. And Friday, it's executives, and how to work on the business rather than in the business. Now these 6-hour sessions for all programs, so you can see 4 times 6, I can still do the maths, it's 24, so that's 24, 5 here, but at the weekend we keep rolling these shows out, and you can get onto YouTube as well, you can get onto the website and download podcasts as well as the videos which are getting loaded from here on Facebook. And what we're looking into is, of course, first of all, the first session where this is P1, so there's P1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, P1, where people who have an idea, people who want to get into the business. Now, that doesn't mean that the people side for P1, finance is Monday, there you go. I'm just seeing it coming up on the Facebook Live. Operations is Tuesday, I'm talking into it just now, wonderfully. See, the backup is amazing. Now, what's Wednesday then? It should be customers, I suppose. Yeah, see, I see. And of course, Thursday is people and Friday, as we said already. So I had a few of them mixed around, but you can find all that out on the website or even download the app so you can have it anywhere with you at the same time. But it is wonderful to have all this available. And so you start from people with an idea, right? As you develop through the business, you might need more knowledge, more ideas, and other people are talking into that. That doesn't mean that any of it won't apply to you, especially on the people side as well. And maybe in finance, you might sometimes have to go back to some of the basics, but it's all available to you, brought by experts around the world. And it's amazing. I'm listening to some of them every time, and I'm amazed by how much we have. It's as Donna says as well, it's a balanced scorecard approach. That is the fancy way of saying this. But we're going to go back on the radio now as well, so be with us. Yes, and hello, we are back. You are listening to IBGR.network. IBGR is a call sign for a radio station, but we're more than a radio station. We are a network of global entrepreneurs coming together to create a shared space for collaboration and business success. I'm your host, Jan Roberts, Global Influencer. Now, this is episode 9 already, Strategic Impactful Connections in Our People Lane, People Skills for Success. You can go to our website at www.ibgr.network and download the show notes. Now, when we're looking at connections, I have some stories here as well about strategic connections. And one of them actually jumped out at me when I was reading a while ago about Edison. Now, we all know about Edison and the incandescent light bulb, as you said, the light bulb. But it wasn't until 1979 that Thomas Edison, American, invented a light bulb. After all the trials, the stories have been said, 1,000 or 10,000 ways not to do it. You get the story. But he was, what we didn't know was, there was a British guy, Joseph Swan, who independently invented light bulbs that had commercial potential before that already. It was only when Edison's position turned out to be weak that the Americans pushed for transatlantic collaboration, resulting in the Edison Company. Now, I don't know if you still teach this in these days, but in my time in the benches, we all got to know that Thomas Edison invented the electric light bulb. Or did he? See, it is not about casting aspersions about the reputation of one of America's biggest heroes, but Edison, who patented this light bulb in 1979, merely improved on the design that the British inventor Joseph Swan had patented years earlier. Now, this is of course open to debate, but it's not about whether he did or he invented a light bulb, that's for sure. But Swan actually sued Edison for patent infringement, and the British courts ruled against Edison. Why would they? But I mean, of course, they did, and as a punishment, Edison had to make Swan a partner in his electric company. Even the US Patent Office decided in 1983 that Edison's patent was invalid, as it also duplicated the work of another American inventor. But you know what's the amazing thing about that part of the story is that Edison plowed ahead regardless. You know, he had his own ideas, he did all this kind of stuff, and he actually really, I mean, he's done so many inventions, and so we will never take that away. But it's more about the next part of that little story, that intriguing part that I never knew about until I read it somewhere. I don't know when I did that, but I felt it important enough to actually bring it into this strategic, impactful connections. So Edison eventually partnered with Swan, who I mentioned already had a similar patent for the light bulb, or incandescent light at that time, of course. But in the UK, when Edison had his in the USA. Now, Edison Swan United, or Eddy Swan, became the world's biggest light bulb manufacturer. Many failures, many ways in which not to do it, followed by tremendous success. Now, this is a tremendous strategic and impactful connection. Never mind how they got there, because at first they thought they were competition, doing the same thing basically. But sometimes, you know, as I mentioned earlier already, sometimes to get together in a strategic connection, doing the same thing is actually a good thing, because even in the early days, they did not start with the best foundations to build on. They actually became, as I'll just mention it again, the world's biggest light bulb manufacturers. And what a success it was, as we all know. Now, next week I'm actually going to talk into contact spheres, which which talk into the effective networking and strategic connections in that way. How to find these kind of people and what a contact sphere is. But it certainly talks into that a lot more about effective networking. So join us next week as well, when I'll surely be back on Facebook as well as on the radio. But I thought it was a lovely story to actually talk about how sometimes it can be disastrous at the start, and thinking we're competitors even across the world without all the connections we have just now. I mean, this was not something that they could just fly over in that time to go and see each other, because it was what year was it? 18 something. Let me have a look back. Some of you already remember that, 1879, 1883, in that neighborhood. Yeah. So. The first plane didn't take off from Kitty Hawk in 1903 by the Wright brothers, of course. But let me ask you a question. Are you optimizing all of your contacts, connections, and relationships? If you've got to be strategic, because are your networks simultaneously powering your business, bottom line, and your own career trajectory? Now, all this is possible in a network-oriented place where connections and collaborations go hand in hand with your company's growth and your success. Now, connections go hand in hand, make no mistake. So there's sometimes a mistaken notion that networking involves taking advantage of others. Now, how to gain a deeper understanding of the knowledge and influence of each person you interact with and create authentic and productive professional relationships is so important in today's world. So there are must-have skills for developing strategic connections, the foundations on which these powerful interactions are built. And these will apply to entrepreneurs as well as growing larger organizations. And I will mention them just briefly here. I'll go through a few of them. I will also have to keep an eye on the time, of course, because on Facebook I could just keep going. But we have a radio show, and of course a great radio show. What we've done is ibgr.network. We just taken the mast away, and the internet is now our mast. And it's wonderful how it all works, how we can reach people in 145 countries, and like and share this kind of stuff, because there is so much of it. But in the kind of things that the must-have skills, we need to talk into is we need to expand and strengthen your authentic networker identity. We need to make even random conversations count, because we need to be purposefully selective in the networking groups you join and create a strategic roadmap for networking success. I'm going to talk a lot more into that, how to be more effective as a networker next week as well, because that's really, some of us waste a lot of time when we actually are not effective, and we just are basically professional visitors to groups. So we need to get away from that. But envision and create your ideal network. So you need to have a picture of what you want, really. Learn how to construct the 4 nets that will organize and optimize your current connections while you add new ones. Now, I'm going to talk about those. The 4 nets are your life net, your work net, your professional net, and your organizational nets. But again, that comes into the networking session next week. Develop trusting relationships. Another one, very important. Learn how to prove your trustworthiness. See, people do business with those they like, know, and trust. I mean, we all know those sentences, but what does it mean? That means that we also need to develop. It's warm in here. We've got a sunny day, even though it's -2 at the moment in sunny Scotland. The sun is glaring. You can still see it there. Where I'm. See, if I went there, I mean, I could divide my face just now in the Sean Connery and the side on one side, Sean Connery, and then my darker side. But yeah, the sun is shining and it's warm here. But we need to learn to construct those nets and develop trusting relationships. You need to learn how to prove your trustworthiness, because people, when they don't know you, again, the effectiveness of networking, we'll talk into that next week. I will talk into Ivan Mesner, who actually developed a BNI network. I will talk into something he actually developed and talks into this very good. So, and how to determine which stage of trust you've reached, because you're not trustworthy in the same level to each and every one. You're newer people, not the same as older people, and if they don't trust you, maybe there's something wrong with you. And you can repair that. I mean, but you need to, the ethics and values of business have to be the solid foundation of which you work as an entrepreneur, as a person, and as a leader. and of course business people, entrepreneurs are leaders. I mean, our friend Bill says as well, and he said it actually before when he talked into MLM before I came on, and the power of an MLM network and how to build it. But he said also that in the adverts in between, which you can't hear on Facebook, of course, not yet, but he said that 57% of the world's people work for entrepreneurs. That's the world's working people. That's 1.9 billion people. So then you are leading. You are leading in your own field, in your own way. And sometimes when you build larger companies, you need to start off well. Because if you don't build that solid foundation of trusting relationships, so you also need to increase your social acumen. Now, and as I see the Facebook note go by, the art of connecting. And of course, that's very important. And again, increasing your social acumen, exactly that, with tried and true methods for remembering names, avoiding social awkward moments. I talked into cultural awareness a few a few sessions ago, which again, you can download the podcast now from the IBGR.network. But it is wonderful because you can boost your likability and also deepen interactions. My partner Artie, who is on later on today, she's also helping me on Facebook here and supporting me everywhere we go. She's also on in a couple hours time with another amazing show. But she is a master in networking and connecting, and not only networking but sustaining those connections and the deeper interactions, because she's a diversity and inclusion specialist as well, and she uses all that to the best of her knowledge and the compassion she's got, and it's amazing. I can talk about her for a long time, but she would be embarrassed, and she shouldn't be because she is. But you need to discover how to listen to the right things, to questions, to move relationships forward, position yourself as a go-to person, and use a variety of techniques for follow-ups to make relationships even more valuable. See, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. I just thought about it, but I mean, those quotes speak into those kind of things, and I hope you get that. So, also, communicate expertise. So, use storytelling to answer the all-important, what you do question. So, don't tell people what you do again. I'll talk into it with Ivan Mesner's session next week, but what you do, but tell them, make it more visible, make it more, don't just go bam 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 business. I know the high D's just want to do that, and the I's and they want to tell these stories and sometimes even miss the point altogether, but make sure you do that. But hey, we are already coming up to the 12-minute act again, and we are gonna take another little break just now. So don't go away. I will stay on Facebook with you, but don't go away, and I'll see you in about 2.5 minutes. So yeah, I will keep going on Facebook, and I will go on Facebook, and as you say, it's actually. Let me look. I've got the times here because I really need to keep an eye on that. I've got the times here, and I need to know, of course, it's 3 minutes. It's a half a minute of my little jingly, which you can't hear. I don't even know you can hear this. Maybe you can, but I could even unplug myself, and maybe you might hear the adverts, but and the stuff that goes on. But I will test that first. I won't put it up on you, and then you sit here for 2.5, 3 minutes just staring at the walls. But I think you get the idea. I'm talking into different areas, and there is so much of it that we have here. Stories. I'm having some stories as well, and of course a personal story as well. The show notes give you an indication, but maybe you don't know. There is so much information that we constantly gather, and in my experience as well, of course I keep upgrading myself, and I keep studying, and they can hear the jingle. Okay, then the next break I will actually maybe unplug, because what I do is, it's not cheating, but in those 3 minutes while I'm talking to you, I might lose track of time, so I can actually, you can go to IBGR.network as well, as somebody's, probably Artie or whoever put it just on there. You can go on there and listen to it as well, but here, we're on Facebook anyway. But if I can get the jingle, I'll try that the next one, if you're happy with it. And then the next break, I will try that jingle. and the advert, so you have an idea what the people who are listening on the IBGR.network are actually getting in that in that 3 minutes, because it's a proper radio show. So we've got 12 minutes, and then we've got 3 minutes, and all the podcasts are broken up in 15-minute slots as well. So that way you can listen to a podcast. You don't have to be there for an hour and try to find out, you only had 15 minutes, so you have to go back and where, you can listen to 15 minutes, and then the first 50 minutes, if you like what's coming, you can listen to the next. If you're not, forget about it. But it is great to have you here on Facebook as well, and it is wonderful that if you are actually liking something of what you hear, and if you know people who are budding entrepreneurs, who are entrepreneurs, bring them to the IBGR.network, bring them to the Facebook page, bring them to the website as well, because I say there is many podcasts, and even in the app now there is everything. There is stories, there is podcasts, there is you can learn more about the bios of all the people, and I know we're already back again. So here, there you go. Yeah, now you heard some of the jingle as well, and we are back, of course. You are listening and viewing now the IBGR network, and IBGR is a call sign, but we're more than a radio station, of course. We're a network. I'm your host, Jan Roberts, Global Influencer, and this is episode 9 already. Strategic, impactful connections in our people lane for success. Now, you can go to our website, even when you're on Facebook just now, you can go to our website and download the show notes as well. See, the first couple of times I did this, I started sometime last season, and the first couple of times to say show notes, it just shows you that with practice everything gets better. But we're here on Facebook now as well, and it's wonderful. And I want to start with a little story about my a strategic connection I made, to give you an idea about that. See, because for me personally, I've always connected with many people, even when I was working in the oil industry. It was often necessary to discover discover actually who the influencers and people who got the work done were. See, now you can see I'm using these got the work done, the inverted commas, although radio, it makes no difference whatsoever. But I do it anyway, so even on radio, I sometimes have to tell them, I'm doing this. Yeah, it's strange, but when you're used to it. But especially in foreign countries where clients were sometimes less than patient when things weren't going according to plan. So to know these kind of people and make the strategic connections early on was so important, even when you're employed. But it's definitely also when you are working for yourself to make those ones. Now, I joined the John Maxwell team in 2012 and attended my first certification event in Orlando in February 2013. So when meeting like-minded people from all around the world. I mean, there's now 30,000 going on towards 40,000 people in 160 odd countries around the world in the team. But then they were a lot smaller, and now these events normally have 3,000 people. But I connected with these people, and my communication and networking skills come in handy, because I started personal development since I was 17, which is several years ago. As you can see in the grey hair, I'll have to tell that for the radio people, because they can't see that either, of course. I told you I had a face made for radio. But yeah. But I connected with many amazing people and sat down, listened, and discovered how I could serve them, because in a servant leadership kind of way. See, that was always an intentional for me, as it was not about business cards, of which I used to get many, and I could never remember who gave them to me and why. So I also didn't talk about what I did for a living, really. I just wanted to connect with people, and that is something very powerful right early on when you start making the connection. Don't push business. Again, the networking side I'll talk into the next week. But in August 2014, I went for my fourth or fifth, sixth IMC, this International Maxwell Certification, with the intention of finding someone in Africa I could collaborate or partner with. And I was from Scotland. Now, something went on before that, but that's part of another story where I quit my job eventually. Sometimes you know that you should be doing something, and the entrepreneurial spirit really spoke to me for a long time, but it was time in 2013 to kick the job into touch through an amazing event. But that's not for now. But I met Arthi Moore there, as I already mentioned. She's on here. She's also talks into amazing people sides, and she's on the show later. She's on the show later on. I think it's 1 o'clock our time, 3 o'clock South Africa time. She's on the air here, which I look forward to as well. But I met Arthi there for the first time. We sat down. I asked her about what made her join the John Maxwell team, and some other questions, and listened. Now that's where the real value and power are, the listening, because we learn a lot more when we listen than when we talk. We all know that, but how often are we so excited? And I could tell you stories about excitement, and I'm still excited now, as you can see, but and now I need to talk, because if I'm silent and listening, there's not an awful lot happening, but yeah, we connected and talked about the visions, potential, and many other interesting things. So once home again, though, and that's where maybe the networking comes in again. Be with us next week, because it's so important. But I followed up with the phone calls, asked many questions, listened even more, and discovered, because we were both so authentic in what we did, how our visions were very much aligned. Now that opened up tremendous possibility, which fast forward to today brings us to having a global leadership institute for the last 6 years. We also became not the first business partners, but we became partners as well. As I say, people who grow together, grow together. I don't know where I got it from, but I like it anyway, so I thought I'll throw it in. Like, people who grow together, grow together. Okay, I like that, so I just thought I'd mention it to you anyway. But we know actually how critical it is to build strategic professional relationships. And that includes strategic partnerships, collaborative partnership, as well as joint ventures. Now, joint ventures is not somewhere where you go for a smoke. The joint. Okay, I get it. Okay, but it is very important, and we have now a strategic partner as well in Cubimo, another organization with IBGR has just formed a strategic partner, a collaborative partnership with as well. But we became strategic partners because it's all building. Cubimo is all about building entrepreneurs, and even the founder of Cubimo, Joachim from Sweden, fra Sverige, he also will be hosting very shortly. So it's exciting to get so many people from all around the world in the entrepreneurial side together. But business owners need strong connections in their communities, industry, and across the peer group. Because another, he's here already. There we go. Joachim is here, our friend from Cubimo, who's also an IBGR host to be. He's already destined to be on this platform as an entrepreneur, and he will talk into the Cubimo platform much better than I can, but check it out as well. And of course we have the CKH network with another friend, Kamrul Hassan in Bangladesh, who also is part of the IBGR network. See, these people who have grow entrepreneurial organizations around the world, we actually, as key leadership, we build strategic connections with them, because it is so important. We don't need to do this alone. We can connect with each other, we can support and guide each other, and we are much stronger together. I hope that makes sense. But business owners need strong connections in their community, industry, and across the peer group, as I just said. But whether you seek to create a strategic partnership with another business, influence any laws or government policies, hire talented business leaders, find quality suppliers, sell your business, or just want to bounce an idea of someone objective, you need a strong, strategic, and trusted network, because that's really what it comes down to. So, but of course, especially earlier on, you're busy and you haven't got any time for that. It's like your personal growth. You can't afford not to do this, because this is all part of your personal development as well, which we quite often forget. And that's why I am so passionate about people and passionate about the personal side. I talk into that. What does your growth plan look like? If you haven't got one, you should seriously look into that. But again, for another session. But you'll have to figure out who you need to know, who knows them, and how you can connect with them. Build and expand strong and trusted relationships with them, and stop spinning your wheels and start connecting with the business and governmental leaders who can help you achieve your most important goals. Because I said the strategic and impactful connections, because if they are in a field as well where they want to do similar things, why keep everything separate? Mastermind groups. Napoleon Hill talks into that in amazing books, Think and Grow Rich, and all those kind of things. And there's many books like it. I'm now actually on the entrepreneurial Cubimo side. I'm starting to download a lot of books as PDFs, as resources you can download to learn more about that as well. But we need to start working together. So there is a lot of steps we have in building strategic relationships. Now, when you think of relationships, what probably comes to mind is your family and friends. Maybe for some it's your co-workers and acquaintances, but these tend to be the people you have relationship with because of proximity, your closeness. But what about your strategic relationships? What about the impact of those? A strategic relationship requires you to actively seek out and build a bond with someone. They're give and take relationships where each person has something to offer the other. Now that is very important. Building relationship is an important part of developing yourself. I just talked about it. So where do you start? It all begins with goals. Think big and work backwards. I mean, again, Stephen Covey said, start with the end in mind. Now that's what that talks about as well. And to pinpoint your goals, you need to use the following steps. And I'm going to just move into them briefly, but you need to know what you're trying to achieve, What is it that you want to accomplish this year? What is your vision and your goal in this year, for the next year, in your current position, with your personal development? Then identify relationships. Be realistic about how many people you can truly invest in any one time and really invest in those people. An example of identifying relationships could include getting to know someone in the department you want to move into, or go to a Facebook group or any group, social media group, where there's people who are similar to you, the connection you look for. So identify individuals. Now, who are the possible individuals who might help you to reference to your goals, as well as you, of course, being able to reference to them? You need to do your homework as well. Research people on the list you made. What are their backgrounds? Check LinkedIn bios and their company website. You don't need a ton of details, but you need to gather enough information to get that impression of the people you want to connect with. Of course. Determine what you have to offer. Once you've completed the previous step, you need to figure out what you can offer each person you want to connect with. See what you can offer. If you help enough other people, all that kind of stuff. Remember, strategic relationships are a two-way street. You need to be in a give mode before you can get. And reach out and build a relationship. There's a process for this too, which I'll certainly talk about next week in the networking. But hey, it's already time again for our final break. So on the radio, don't go away. I'll stay here on Facebook. If you want to come on Facebook as well at the IBGR network, but join us on our IBGR site, and I'll be back in a few minutes. No, okay, she's a slight delay. I'm just trying to see if I can get music to see if you on Facebook can hear this, but for some reason it's spinning its wheels. Oh yeah. See, that's what it looks like on IBGR. I hope you can hear that. But that's what the listeners on radio have at every break. See? It's a cheery jingle. Loud and clear, I like it. And this is the advertising in between. So now you are listening to IBGR.radio. So that you're listening to the website just now, or you can listen to it on the app, but that's where they all are. Oh, I'm reflecting that thing on. There we go.
America, Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, and the Philippines.
You can still hear this?
India subcontinent, and the last of four, United Kingdom, Ireland, Europe, and Africa. If you are a small business consultant or business
gives me a chance to take a drink.
Audition for an on-air slot in our 6-hour show cycle, contact the station director, and that is at programming@bgr.network. We will respond to your email within one business day. Thanks for listening, And don't miss this great opportunity to put the world back to work and grow with us.
Yeah, grow with us, see? And that's the whole idea. It's for all of us. So like and share this with your friends. Oh, not mine.
This is William Eastman, managing partner for Robberts Media and station director at IBGR.
One of the people behind the scenes.
Broadcast, you know we consider all entrepreneurs part of one family. People who are the heroes of our societies because they put their soul into the game and risk failure for everybody else. We want to meet and get to know everyone, like having a family reunion. Plus,
family
the highest quality of programming, we need to hear from you. The place to start is to become a subscriber. Every week we will send you our broadcasting schedule, links to show notes, and occasionally a gift like something practical from our toolbox.
Woohoo, gifts too.
It is simple to do. Go to our Join Us page, sign up, and become part of the most important global community, entrepreneurs. Never forget, we create over 50% of the jobs around the world.
See?
We look forward to meeting you.
I think we're just coming on again. We need to listen to a little bit of that. And we are back. See, that's how it works in between. I mean, I now know that gives me a 3-minute break. Not that I need it, because I love talking with you. But you know what I would like as well, when you start interacting with me on Facebook as well, and of course the button there on the website, ask questions, because you will govern what we're going to talk about next season. It's true on-demand radio from then on. But there you heard Bill. Donna's actually with me. She's supporting me as she does every time. And of course, other show hosts like Arthi and other friends have come on already. But like and share this. I mean, there is so much for it. But we are certainly back for our last session here already. How time flies. I mean, it's unbelievable, really. But we are back there and you're listening. If you are listening on radio, of course, you are listening to IBGR.network. And it's our radio station. It's far more than a radio station, but because we are indeed a network. I'm your host, Jan Roberts, Global Influencer. And this is episode 9 already. If you just joined us, we're talking about strategic, impactful connection in our people skills lane. You can also go to our website at ibgr.network and download our show notes. My show notes, everybody's show notes. But you can do much more there though, because you can actually download a lot of stuff there. There is podcasts, and you can do it from our app as well. If you weren't there beginning, we have an amazing app as well where you can download all this stuff. You can find out more about. There is a whole all the hosts are on there as well. You can learn more about them, to look at their bios. The summit is on there as well. You can download videos. There is a lot of stuff there for you, the entrepreneur, the budding entrepreneur, the seasoned entrepreneur. There is something for everybody there. And that's why I say like and share this. Like and share the Facebook. You can go to YouTube as well. We've got an ibgr.youtube channel where this will be posted later on as well. I haven't been able to do it together yet, but I thought I'll try somewhere and we'll begin somewhere. And here we are. So, in this last session, I just want to give you some essential tools for building strategic relationships, because it's good that we need them, but how do you build those things? So I love this with Malcolm Gladwell. When I write quotes down. I'm a quoteaholic. My friend and mentor Les Brown, if you know them, I mean he knows quotes. So does his son John Leslie, but they sometimes have a quote off where they actually see who can talk into more quotes. But I love that he's my mentor as well, and because I'm also a speaker. But quotes are wonderful, and as long as you can speak into them. But here there was one that fitted, and it's by Malcolm Gladwell, and it's mentioned in The Tipping Point, a great book, by the way. Acquaintances represent a source of social power, and the more acquaintances you have, the more powerful you are. Yeah, strategic connections, networking, all that kind of stuff. And as I said already, next week it's going to be about networking. And another one here is leaders who are good networkers are the connectors. They master that social, as Mark Granovetter calls, the weak tie. A friendly yet casual social connection. I like it. You can just depict it, a weak tie, you know. So it's a friendly kind of casual thing. But I mean that's what Robin Gerber said in Leadership, the Eleanor Roosevelt way. So if you read those or now listen to those quotes carefully, you will find a clue to one of the reasons that Women are considered by male bosses as underperforming men in the area of having strategic networks and using them effectively. Before you women get on your high horse, hold on a minute. The male model for networking is acquaintances and weak ties. The female model is, well, actually for many women in leadership as well, it's not at all natural to think about networks, but women think more about friendships. That's why women are so good at it. So before you jumped on your high horse earlier, I think it is actually women are so much better at it. So now you men, you can go and cry in a bush now, as my partner Artie always says. Go and cry in a bush, I don't care. But women are so much better at it. It's much more a natural instinct. Men are, and that doesn't mean that women are not business oriented, but they use the friendly approach much more, and it's much more effective. People like to do business with those they know, like, and trust. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Do these things come true now with especially women? So yes. So somebody called Gail Evans wrote a book, She Wins, You Win. And she touches on that when she says, forget networking. No, we can't forget that because I'm talking about it next week. What we really need to be doing is what she calls it webbing, which is what's quite interesting, and it's amazing. And I in my development, I find this kind of thing. I said, that's useful. Having a great evening with a friend whom you don't see again until the next time you paths cross is just as viable a relationship. Such relationships must become the very fabric of our, she calls it, nexistence. I like that. In other words, she's telling us that it's okay to have acquaintances and weak ties with other women for the purpose of business success. But we'll be more comfortable if we call it webbing, not networking. Well, it's in the name. If you're happy webbing, if you're happy just building relationships, or as I said, friendships, I mean, that's eventually, we need to stay professional, but we can build that kind of real connective, strategic, impactful relationship, that connection that will last. And I say Artie is a master at it. So there are 6 essentials for this, and I will talk briefly into that. And one of them is, of course, whatever you call it, many women in leadership positions have to reframe the inner game, they said. But I mean, men have to do exactly the same. But this was written by a woman for women, so I just rephrase that. But I found some things that she talked into, and I thought I'll write it up, and because these are really some of the kind of essential tools for building those strategic, impactful relationships. So you need to have a goal, of course. You can have all the acquaintances or friends in the world. You can have 5,000 Facebook friends and take joy in these relationships, but you can't use them strategically if you don't have a goal. So what do you want to win in life? What goals do you hold clearly in your mind and close to your heart? When you can answer these questions, you're ready to think about strategic networking. I hope that makes sense. So you need to have a goal and reframe your inner game. That's very important because it means changing any negative thoughts you have about strategic networking. People think it's a chore. No, it's a necessity, but make it fun, make it positive, because it helps you, it helps them, it helps the world out there you're trying to serve with your products, your services, and your courses. So it is simple. If you think networking is bad, you won't be good at it, and I'll talk a little bit into that much more into next week. But if you think about interactions in which there is an opportunity to give and to get, you'll have the chance of being good at it. If you help enough other people, you get what you want. That whole story I mentioned earlier on, it's about giving. It's not always about receiving. You will receive when you give, but it's that kind of, listen to people, give of your time, listen intently to people, not just with a point of trying to give them a business card or whatever, but that comes into the networking. But master the give and think, and you need to master that give, think, and then link. Now that's what I was just saying. When talking with someone, you mentioned a problem she's dealing with, an issue is not just say you've got a solution for it, but listen to them. Who do I know that can help you with this? Eventually you can give some solutions, even if it's not yourself. But when you help people with solutions in totally different fields, they might get better connection because they start to like you and they start to trust you. So that's where you can create a connection as well. Master the give and explicit reciprocity. I said that just without blinking. But when you've gone out of your way to help someone in your network and you get thanked, don't say it was nothing or any version of this in your head. Instead, say something like, I'm sure you do the same for me sometime. Set up a future opportunity for the other person to show gratitude to you by reciprocating in some way at some point in the future. See, if you do good, good will come back. But have it in your mind as well, because what you think about, you bring about. Again, another subject for a whole hour and then some. Mastering the get. So, the courageous ask as well. It's sales 101. So, the courageous ask is a straightforward request made from a position of strength and competence, not a position of weakness and neediness. So many people forget to ask. See, it's direct and made without apology and overt. It's easiest to say yes to a courageous ask if there is or has been a win for the other person. So that's why you need to give first. The win may be in the near term, in the past, or possibly in the future. But don't do something for them and straight away say, oh, by the way, because was that really the ulterior motive? So you need to master these kind of things. And the sixth one is mastering the get, is nurture your network. We'll talk much more into that next week. You have to develop a system that works for you for keeping track of and keeping in touch with the people in your strategic network. Now, if you're not natural strategic networking, those 6 tools and techniques will at least help you make your network for you. Your network for you. Now, there's something that we all have but don't always pay attention to. I want to finish with that just now because we're near the end of our time again. Have you ever had it happen that you made a decision which ultimately was a total mistake? So sometimes when we meet people, it just doesn't feel right. No idea why not, but it just doesn't feel right. That is your intuition kicking in. Now, we would be very wise to seriously consider that the next time it sends us a subtle reminder, we might just have to move on and forget about any consideration of a possible and plausible, impactful connection. We need to sometimes move on. But intuition is also powerful and we sometimes need to listen to it better. I have learned by some of the mistakes, and somebody told me something and I wouldn't listen. We all sometimes have to learn by our mistakes. But this is all I've got about the strategic, impactful connections. I hope you learned something, you got something out of it. Like and share it. But what's coming up next? We have more exciting shows coming up after this. Now, they're all not on Facebook yet, but they're coming. So, more exciting shows coming up from Nigeria, South Africa, Lebanon. It's an international community of amazing experts. So, if there's anything I can do for you, let me know. But you have now been listening to me, Jan Robberts. I'm your show host, and I look forward to be with you on Facebook as well as on the radio and IBGR.network, same time, same place next week. And I'll be talking about networking next week. So remember, you are amazing. I look forward to seeing you next week. Take care. And that is me on the radio. I don't even know yet whether we'll get a jingle, because I'd like to leave you with a jingle, but I need to plug in again because there is a slight delay on the radio. So if you're still here on Facebook, we don't need to get right out of it yet. Oh. I don't even know if we get jingle time yet. Oh, there you go. See? And that's how the radio show finishes. Every week. You've got to be a bit cheery. Okay. There we go. And now, straight away after that, of course. Oh, there you go. We have a little advert again, and then of course after that we have Tina Ogbugo from Nigeria. She's going to have an hour. Then we've got Arthur Moore, of course my partner, who's also here supporting me every time. She's going to be on after that for an hour. Sadia Kebi from Lebanon is going to be on later today as well. All in the people side. So if you are on Facebook now, like and share these kind of things with your friend, because not only for my Facebook but also to like and share the IBGR.network. IBGR.network is a website as well, www.ibgr.network, where you can go and download podcasts. You can listen to it live there. because many of them are not on Facebook yet. Many of them haven't got a YouTube done yet, but you can, after this, you can download this on, when Donna is so kind to download it and upload it to YouTube, because I wasn't technically aware enough yet to actually do it both at the same time. But she will, she's amazing too, Donna Kunde and Bill Eastman, who are the driving force behind all of this. And, I've got my own driving force in my life and in our business, Key Leadership Institute. But you can get a hold of me at www.keyleadership.com or www.jrspeakersclub.com, where I also help and train people who I say we all have a story, we all have a voice, and this is your time. And so if you really want help with developing yourself, your story, your confidence in speaking up, your confidence in speaking in front of people, I can certainly help you there as well. But we do leadership development, we do all those kind of things, and that actually build people up in our Leadership Institute as well. It's about communication, it's about leadership, it's about behavior analysis. I'm a behavior analysis consultant and trainer as well. We do all these kind of things and much more. Values-based leadership, where I said the values are the foundation of leadership, the foundations of business, where we need to have ethics and that kind of stuff happening. But bring people, bring your friends, because if they need financial advice as an entrepreneur, if they need advice as customers, about customers, if they need advice about organizations, if they need advice about how to run the business as an executive or how to exit the business even, there is so much information here already that, I'm sure wherever you are in your business cycle, wherever you are in your entrepreneurial journey, there is something for everybody at ibgr.network. And you can connect with us as well, because I say we've become strategic partners with Cubimo, with CKH Network, where we can also help connect you and help you in developing your entrepreneurial journey, while you can also get all this information on the ibgr.network site. Download the podcast. You can learn all about the different hosts, learn what they talk about. There is so much there. But I hope you enjoyed it. I look forward to being back, the face of radio. It's strange, I mean, it is a bit unusual, but I love doing Facebook Lives anyway, and I'll do much more of them. I'm going to do another one either today or probably tomorrow, about subjects I'm passionate about personal development, about things that really matter to us, things that matter to me as well. I speak my truth, and my aim is to impact and transform millions of people to lead a life of significance. That's what I want to do, and that's why I'm also on this radio. That's why I'm delighted and thrilled that we are part of an amazing community of like-minded and like-thinking people who are around the world doing their best to help you, the budding entrepreneur, the business person, with advice. And there is so many people here. I wouldn't do it justice if I mentioned just a couple, which I've done already. But there are so many, from Australia to America to Asia to Europe. People, don't miss out. Come and join us. My name is Jan Robberts, your IBGR radio host for this last hour. Now you can jump onto the radio and start listening to Tina Ogbugo, and afterwards start listening to Arthi. Don't go away, and share this with your friends. Have an amazing rest of your day and a kick-ass weekend. See you soon. Take care.